The sourdough starter died last month, right after we moved into the cabin. I've been trying not to dwell on it. But tonight, sitting here with my tea gone cold and the woods pressing in outside, I keep thinking about the way it split open. Not mold, exactly. More like a wound. 3 days ago, the heating pipe started humming after midnight. This was deliberate. A low song that pulled me downstairs, barefoot on warped floorboards. The basement door was open. It hadn't been open since we arrived. You know how silence can feel sticky. The next morning I found her at the kitchen sink, wrist deep in a bowl of flour and dish soap. "New sourdough," she murmured, fingers kneading harder, knuckles white. Twice now I've woken to find dirt smeared on the bathroom mirror. Not clumps, but patterns, symbols maybe. She blames the dog, but we don't have a dog. Her boots were spotless. "For the baby," she said this morning, holding up a tiny sweater the color of clotted cream. "We're childless. Have been for 12 years. The sweater moves when she's not looking. I'm writing this in the shed, snow seeping under the door. The cabin smells like rising dough again. Earlier, I found her standing at the cellar door, humming along with the pipes. The jar was in her hand. It had teeth. The humming follows me out here. Not the pipes this time. Her voice, reed, thin and wavering between two notes. Through the shed's warped slats, I watch the kitchen window. Shadows shift like something's pressing against the glass from inside. Floured hands, maybe. My breath hangs milky in the air, but the snowmelt underfoot feels tepid, wrong. I nudge it with my boot. Red threads swirl in the water. When I kneel to look closer, my knees hit solid ground. The dirt hue's too warm. Spring. Her humming stops. A drawer slams in the cabin. A pot clangs. Normal sounds bent sideways by the draft under the shed door. It smells like proofing dough again, but fermented too far, the stench of yeast choking on its own waste. The shovel leans where I left it, crusted with August clay. I touch the handle. Wood grains pulse under my palm. Don't look at the jar. Don't think about the teeth. But the cellar door creaks open. I know without seeing. She'll be descending now, cradling it, that jar with glass too thick to be glass. Last week's nightmare rushes back, a wet clicking from its depths, like a tongue testing new molars. A thump beneath me. Not the cabin's direction, here. Under the shed's dirt floor, where frost hasn't reached. The ground breathes softly, rhythmically. I crouch, ear to the earth, and realize the rising and falling isn't mine. The kitchen light dies. In the new dark, the cellar's glow bleeds through snow green and viscous. Laughter bubbles up through the soil this time. Not hers. Never hers. The shed door clicks unlocked behind me. The shed door groans, just an inch. Cold air licks my neck. Wrong direction, wind should push outward. Through the crack, the cellar's green glow laps at the snowbanks like phosphorescent tide. Shadows stretch toward me, elongating until their angles defy the cabin's shape. The dirt shifts under my boots, kneading itself. Warmth creeps up through soles, between toes. Pulsing. My ribs ache in time with it, deeper, slower. The shudder of millstones grinding. Porcelain clinks behind me. Teeth tap against glass in a rhythmic Morse code. Snowflakes hesitate mid-fall outside, not crystals, but tiny molars dissolving into steam. Walls creak, imprinting rib-like grooves into wood. Dough smell thickens, sweetness curdled with iron. The floor heaves upward, exposing crescent voids filled with milk teeth and clotted cream hair. Behind the cellar light, a silhouette swims, small, curled, clawing at glass. Her hand closes over mine, flour fingerprints charring black. It's time to feed it. .ht. The soil between my fingers squirms, hot and velvet. Her grip tightens, burns sap and bone-deep frost. My knuckles press against the jar's surface. It yields like skin. The floor splits. Roots coil out, glistening with saliva. They taste the air, brushing my ankles, climbing. Above, splintered rafters creak like a jaw unhinging. The green light drenches me, pushing shadows into my throat. Her thumb smears black flour over my lips. The dough smell turns cloying, rancid sugar. I retch, but what comes up isn't bile. Tiny white shards clink into my palm. I tilt the jar. Teeth spill into the fissure, ringing like dropped silverware. The ground shudders, closes. Silence. Then something thumps once, a slow, contented swallow. The cellar darkens. Yet through the shed walls, a new sound, scratching, rhythmic, delicate, like a child's nails tracing the outline of a door. The scratching syncs with my pulse. The air tastes of wet wool and nursery rhymes. My throat itches. I swallow, and another tooth fragments on my tongue, edges sharp, grit settling between molars. The scratching halts. A giggle bubbles through the planks, high-pitched, layered. Too many voices. My reflection glimmers in a shard of frost-coated window. But the face peering back isn't mine, mouth stretched too wide, gums blooming with ivory buds. The latch under my fingers pulses. Warm. Alive. The shed exhales. Rotten honey. Inside, only a mirror, dust-shrouded, angled toward the cellar's gaping mouth below. The earth glistens, wet and quivering. A heartbeat thrums through the soil. Bah! Dum! Bah! Dum! The mirror fogs. Behind the glass, shapes writhe silent, reaching. Their palms flatten against the surface. Small palms. Familiar. One wears a bracelet of braided hair. Mine. My jaw aches. Something shifts, loosens. When I press a finger to my lips, it comes away bloody. And in the soil below, a tiny white crown pierces the surface. The mirror's glass creaks. A hairline crack splits the pane, bisecting the reflection's distended jaw. My real mouth fills with the taste of iron and lightning. Another molar slips loose, rattling against the others like a die. Shadows behind the mirror press closer. Their fingernails curl, broken and raw. My old bracelet slips down a skeletal wrist. I lost that when I was 7. The ground heaves. A second tooth erupts beside the first incisor, needle thin. The soil splits into a jagged grin. The reflection mouths it back, voiceless. The glass softens, yields. A child's finger brushes mine, blister hot. Memories flicker. Dandelion chains, a cleft between the rocks. The shed's walls ripple, shedding sawdust and decades. Fossils of milk teeth, shifting, waking. The mirror cracks further. A tiny, translucent tooth crowns in the wound of my palm. Behind me, the cellar exhales a long, rattling breath. "Come home," it sighs in a voice stitched from my childhood. The cellar door yawns, hinges groaning like strained tendons. My feet move without permission, following the pulse beneath the floorboards. Thump, thump, a rhythm too familiar. The stairs sag beneath me, each creak answered by a wet click from the dark. Something grinds, not stone, not wood. The sound of molars meeting over and over. My tongue prods the gap where my tooth was. A new bud pushes through the gums below, sharp as a fishbone. They're humming now. A tune from that gas station music box, the one Dad shattered after the accident. My knees buckle as the walls contract, exhaling splinters. Beams bow like ribs. The child's finger still smolders against mine, a brand. In the weak shaft of my phone light, the dirt floor glistens. Teeth, Hundreds, maybe thousands erupting in jagged rows, a jawbone the size of the room. My reflection swims in the saliva-slick enamel. But it's not me. Younger, softer chin, braces. The voice leaks through the gaps in my own teeth now. A draft coils around my ankles, dragging me toward the crevice between two molars, a gap just wide enough to slip through. The bracelet falls again. Catches on a stalagmite of bone. Above, the cellar door slams, the jaw closes. The air clots into paste. My phone dies with a whimper. Darkness cups my face like a parent's hand, firm, final. I open my mouth to scream and feel them spill out. A cataract of milk teeth, clicking like rosary beads against the enamel floor. The bracelet snaps. A wet warmth pools where my knees press into the earth. I remember the sound my sister made when he slammed her head against the chalkboard. Not a scream. A woof, like stuffing not from a doll. Lydia? The jaw shifts, grinding the name into the roof of my mouth. The braces on my reflection's teeth gleam. She points to the hollow where her molars should be. I understand. Mom never found the body. Just the bracelet, tucked under the cellar stairs. I crawl into the gap between the teeth. They close around my hips, a vise of bone. Cool. Precise. My fingers sink into the dirt, but it's not dirt anymore. Ash, maybe, or powdered enamel. The jaw constricts. My ribs pop like champagne corks. Lydia reaches into my chest and plucks out a molar, fat with fresh pulp, slides it into her own grinning hollow. In the dark, my gums bloom. He'll never check here.